Hi, I'm Diamond, and welcome to my first video. And this being my first video, I want to tell you thank you so much for clicking, and more so for staying this long already. Now let's get into it. Dreams. I imagine right about now you're saying to yourself, dreams? I clicked on a video for woodworking. But yes, I'm going to talk about dreams and woodworking, so don't worry, you'll get some, okay? We all have dreams. Some we can't seem to forget, and some that disappear the moment we wake up. For me, I had this one dream that the moment I had it, it never went away, a dream you're now a part of. And that dream was freedom. Okay, I know how that sounds, just stick with me here, I promise you I'm going somewhere. I mean freedom from the all too known rat race. You know, working, and sleeping. Rude! Rude! I think I might keep that in. But yes, working, sleeping, and on and on. I assume if you haven't clicked away already, you resonate with what I'm saying here. And I assume that this freedom is all anybody ever truly wants. Freedom to do what brings you joy on your own terms, right? This route to freedom is going to differ amongst all of us. Mine just so happened to be on the road of woodworking. So 2 years ago, I traded in my stethoscope and my cargos for a tape measure and an apron. So today I'm going to be making a homage to my leap from the world of EMS to the world of woodworking. So here's my vision. Today we're going to be making this, an oxygen tank key. And if you know, you know, and if you don't, it's time to get educated. Typically these keys are plastic, and the keyholes that fit over the oxygen tank to open it up get worn or deformed over time. I eventually upgraded to a metal one like this, but I'm not loving the shape all that much. So we're just going to jazz it up a little bit in this build. I got some steel stock here left over from a previous build that would be great for our core. I really like the idea of a guitar shape, so let's go with that. And to dress it up a bit more, I have some sapele mahogany here that I think will make nice for some outer scales. Welcome to my tiny apartment shop. Here I just printed out an outline of a guitar that will be our template. To get the keyholes just right, I found the center line and traced out the keyholes using the metal oxygen tank key as a guide. Here I'm using a drill bit that comes to a point as a center punch. So when it comes time to drill out these holes using the cobalt drill bit, it won't deviate since that bit doesn't come to a point. Okay, let's start working on our scales. We're going to begin by resawing our block of sapele to 2 1/8-inch thick pieces. After each pass, I'm bringing up the table saw blade just a little bit, making sure to stop before we get to the center. I find starting the cut on the table saw and finishing on the bandsaw is the best way for smaller builds like this. Mainly because it eliminates the chance of ending up with a cut that's not straight due to the blade drift of the bandsaw. Using this method of resawing will leave a raised channel that can be easily sanded away with the belt sander. Now we can rough cut the steel core and scales on the bandsaw for glue up. If you're at all curious, the steel core I'm using is 012 steel, about 1/8 thick, similar to the scales. I have a bimetal 24 teeth per inch blade on the bandsaw, and believe you me, this guy cuts like butter. So satisfying. For attaching the scales to the core, I will be using some 5-minute epoxy. With the key rough assembled, it makes it easier to ensure everything is cut uniformly and aligned perfectly. All right, let's unclamp this guy, apply the template with some double-sided tape, and cut it out. Whoops. I realized it might be better to drill out our holes before cutting to avoid any snapping of the scales, especially for the holes along the guitar head and neck. So let's do that now. Okay, let's get back to cutting. Okay, now this bad boy is ready to hand file. And guys, I thought I would hate having to file this down because it did take a while, but it was really calming actually. Alright, let's attach these pins. Again, I'll be using 5-minute epoxy, and the thought just occurred to me that it probably would have been better to do this when I was gluing the scales and the core together. But you know what they say, hindsight is 20/20. Now we can take a rotary tool with a cutoff wheel to cut down our pins. This will give our sander less work to do on the back end. As I was sanding down the pins, I was making sure to check every so often so I don't sand down into the face of our scales. Okay, it's hand sanding time. Here's a little tip though. To keep the faces flat, I have a sheet of sandpaper over a piece of glass. Glass is dead flat, so whatever you sand on it will be too. The last thing up for hand sanding is to make these edges smooth. With sanding this key, it was pretty smooth to begin with, so I gradually worked my way up the grits, first starting at 120, then 220, then 240, to achieve an even more buttery smooth feel. I dare say this bad boy is ready for some finish. Today I'm going to be using an oil-based polyurethane. I never used this one before, so we'll see how it turns out. Okay, now we're gonna leave the key to dry, so let's get back to dreams. Or the dream, freedom. It gnawed at me. It was like an itch I felt I couldn't scratch. You know how that is. You know what I mean. You might be doing a job now, and while you might not totally loathe it with every fiber of your being, you know it's just not quite the right route for the freedom you crave. My time as an EMT is one that I will always look back on, but it definitely wasn't without its drawbacks. With the stress growing and the feeling that there's no possible way that I can do this for the rest of my life, I inherently knew that a change needed to be made. And apparently it was so apparent that my girlfriend at the time knew it too and told me so. So if you feel in your heart and you even have external forces, i.e. me, hello, outside force, signaling to you to deviate towards your dream, Take the leap. Actually, let's backtrack real quick. If you're anything like me, maybe start off by like dipping your toe in the water rather than diving right in. And here it is, guys. I really love how this turned out. Sadly, I won't get to rock it on my cargoes in the field though, but it'll just stand as a representation of me closing one door and opening another. Guys, this is your reminder that if freedom is the goal, then joy is the GPS indicating to you which roads to take. So trust it. Alright guys, thank you for watching all the way to the end. But before you go, write your dream or dreams down in the comments so you and I both know that we're not alone in our pursuit, and to cheer each other on. So with that said, Godspeed, you lovely people. Peace.